Welcome. In this video, how many XCNs do we need to become a millionaire? We will analyze this. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and please watch till the end to understand.
Let's first analyze how high an XCN can go. When looking at the chart, it is clearly observable that a well-defined and consistent upward trend structure is dominant. Analyzing the general direction of price movements, it is evident that prices have been gradually tracing an ascending curve from the bottom levels, frequently bouncing upwards after touching the trend line. This indicates that the market recognizes this trend line as a strong support level, and investors consider it a significant technical reference. When examining the most recent price movement, it can be seen that the price has once again touched this ascending trend line and reacted upward from there. This reaction clearly demonstrates that buyers are still active in the market, are inclined to maintain the current trend, and are not allowing the trend to break. Such reactions from support areas reinforce market confidence and give investors morale regarding upward expectations. Ascending trend lines are of great importance in technical analysis for investors because they represent a stable upward trajectory of the price over a specific period. As long as the price remains above this trend line, the overall outlook remains positive. Currently, this situation remains valid. As long as the price does not break below the ascending trend line, the technical outlook will remain positive, and investors will continue to take advantage of this positivity. Following the recent reaction from the trend line, it seems likely that the price will gain upward momentum again and test the previous high levels. If market conditions remain favorable and the trend line holds, this could trigger the formation of new highs. In other words, maintaining this structure will continue to be a strong element supporting the medium and long-term upward potential of the price. Such ascending trend lines carry significant signals not only in terms of price movement, but also in terms of market psychology. The market's loyalty to this line symbolizes its determination to sustain the uptrend. As investors see that the trend continues to hold, they gain more confidence, which provides additional support for buying activity. This increases the number of buyers, allowing the price to move upward more easily. Upon analyzing the current structure, it is apparent that the ascending trend is progressing in a healthy and consistent manner. This structure will continue to attract the attention of both short-term speculators and medium to long-term investors, because as long as the trend is not broken, the market's risk perception remains low and upward positions are preferred. If this trend line is broken to the downside, it could signal that the market is losing momentum. However, for now, the reaction and upward movement from this line suggests that such a breakdown is unlikely in the near term. Additionally, in situations where such trend structures continue, the market typically retests previously reached peak levels and eventually surpasses them, creating new highs over time. This represents a process where the price steps upward. For example, when the price makes higher highs and higher lows in each wave of upward movement, it indicates that the trend is based on solid foundations. The same applies to the current structure. It is evident that this ascending trend line is still fulfilling its role solidly. Every time the price approaches this level, investors step in and support the price upward with buying reactions. Therefore, from a technical analysis standpoint, as long as this trend line is not broken, a breakdown in price movement should not be expected. On the contrary, as long as this structure is maintained, each pullback can be considered a potential buying opportunity. It should also be noted that this ascending trend structure may be supported not only technically, but also by fundamental analysis. That is, the price's movement upward after bouncing from support may not only be technical in nature, but also move in parallel with news flow, sentiment, or project developments. This provides an additional force that increases the sustainability of the trend. In summary, the current picture clearly shows that the price is in an upward trend, that this trend line was recently tested and held successfully, and that the price continues its upward momentum. According to the principles of technical analysis, as long as the structure is not broken, the direction of price movements is expected to remain upward. Therefore, this trend line will continue to be an important technical level to watch closely. As long as the price remains above this line, a positive sentiment will continue to dominate the market, and investors will keep looking for opportunities in this optimistic environment. If the price continues to hold above this line, it becomes quite possible for the upward movement to strengthen and for larger targets to come into play. Especially if the upward bounce from the trend line continues to repeat, it could steer market dynamics in an even more favorable direction. This structure provides a strong foundation in terms of both technical confidence and psychological support. As long as the current structure is maintained, positive expectations will remain valid, and this trend line will continue to serve as a compass for investors. But we can't make decisions based on trends alone. Let's also look at other metrics. Stay tuned. A formation that stands out on the chart and carries significant meaning from a technical analysis perspective is the flag pattern. The structure typically forms after a strong upward movement followed by a short period of consolidation, and is widely regarded as a reliable pattern that signals a continuation of the existing trend. A similar scenario is observed here. After a sharp and high-volume rally, the price has moved sideways and slightly downward within a narrow range, forming a flag-like appearance. The price action, which is squeezed between a descending upper line and a rising lower line, a hallmark of this pattern, represents short-term indecision between buyers and sellers. However, this state of indecision usually resolves with an upward breakout, after which the price tends to move strongly. In the current situation, it appears that the price has broken above the upper line of this flag formation. This breakout is significant not only in terms of the pattern's technical completion, but also as an important signal that market participants have regained confidence and buying interest has increased. An upward breakout shows that buyers are in control and increases the potential for the price to move to higher levels. In particular, a rise in trading volume during such a breakout is a key factor that supports the validity of the move. If volume significantly increases during the breakout, it greatly raises the likelihood of the flag pattern's technical target being achieved. The most basic method for determining the technical target of a flag pattern is to add the length of the preceding upward move, known as the flagpole, to the breakout point. Taking into account the size of the strong rally before the formation, the potential price levels that could be reached are quite striking. If this target is met, it presents investors with a potentially substantial profit opportunity, especially if there is a general atmosphere of optimism in the market and major cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are in an uptrend. Reaching this target becomes much more feasible. Additionally, with this breakout, the price has surpassed a level that had previously acted as resistance multiple times. This indicates that a significant technical barrier has been overcome and a psychological threshold has been crossed. Breaking through such strong resistance levels typically leads to sharp follow-up rallies, as sellers waiting at those levels are either pushed out or overtaken by buyers, making it easier for the price to climb further. With no major resistance left ahead, the path upward becomes clearer, and new all-time highs can be targeted. During this process, institutional investors or large portfolios may also take greater interest in the asset following such breakouts. These large investors often prefer to enter positions after clear technical signals. The upward breakout of a strong continuation pattern like a flag catches their attention as well. This brings more liquidity into the market, which not only supports the price more sustainably, but also helps prevent sharp pullbacks, allowing the trend to continue in a healthier manner. When all these technical and psychological factors are combined, it's reasonable to consider that a broken flag formation could mark the beginning of not just a short-term rally, but also a medium or even long-term trend. Another important point to note is that the level at which the flag formation breaks often becomes a new support area. In technical analysis, once a resistance level is broken, it often acts as support. This means that if the price experiences a pullback and returns to the breakout level, there's a high probability it will bounce back up from there. This indicates that buyers now view this level as a safe zone and are willing to increase their positions there. Such support retests are crucial for a healthy continuation of the uptrend. A price movement that only goes up without correction can enter overbought territory and face increased risk of a pullback. However, with support retests, the upward movement is built on a firmer foundation. After a flag breakout, volume analysis becomes particularly important. If the breakout occurs without significant volume, it may indicate that the market isn't convinced and the move may not be sustainable. However, in this case, the breakout of the flag has been accompanied by a noticeable increase in volume, showing that the move is grounded on solid footing and that there is strong buying pressure in the market. This increases the validity of the pattern's target not just from a technical standpoint, but also from the perspective of market dynamics. Additionally, the FOMO effect that may arise after such breakouts should not be ignored. Market participants often rush to buy following strong upward breakouts out of fear of missing the rally, which can quickly lead to a surge in demand. These FOMO-driven movements can push the price beyond the expected target level faster than anticipated. Therefore, even after the technical target is reached, the price may maintain its momentum and continue its upward movement. In summary, the observed flag pattern is giving off very strong technical signals, and the upward breakout confirms both short and medium-term bullish trends. The breakout has occurred with volume, resistance has been overcome, and a new support has been formed. With this breakout, the price has crossed an important psychological threshold and seems to have cleared most of the obstacles in its path. The realization of the technical target may only be a matter of time. The structure presents a very positive picture in terms of both the consistency of technical analysis and the understanding of market behavior. Especially if market structure continues to strengthen after this pattern, we may be witnessing the start of a larger and more sustained upward trend.
Now, let's take a detailed look together at how much XCN we would need in order to reach our target net worth of $1 million, and let's explain this both mathematically and logically in the simplest and most understandable way. First, we have a set target price. This target price for XCN is 64 cents, or $0.64. To reach our $1 million target, we need to divide this target amount by the price of XCN. But instead of just doing dry math in our heads, let's make this meaningful. $1 million is a big goal made up of 6 zeros. To reach this amount, we need to figure out how many XCN we would need if the price of XCN reaches 64 cents. This means we need to divide our target amount, $1 million, by the target price, $0.64, to determine how many coins we'd need. But instead of stating this with just numbers, let's express it in words so it's easier to digest. Let's take the number 1 million. This is defined as the word 1 followed by million. We'll compare this target amount to the target price of 64 cents, or $0.64. The calculation we'll perform is this: divide $1 million by 64 cents. This calculation will show us the number of XCN needed. Expressed in words rather than digits, when $1 million is divided by 64 cents, we end up needing approximately 1.5 million XCN. So if we hold 1.5 million coins and XCN reaches 64 cents, our total net worth would be equivalent to $1 million. At this point, let's also clarify how much money we would need today in order to accumulate this 1.5 million XCN, because many people may be wondering, how much would it cost to buy that much XCN? Now, let's analyze the answer to this question in a logical way. Let's assume that as of today, the price of XCN is approximately 1.8 cents. Written now, that's about $0.018. In this case, to buy 1.5 million XCN at this price, we would need to multiply the number of coins by the current price. That means multiplying 1.5 million by 1.8 cents will give us the total investment cost. Let's do this calculation in our heads. Multiplying 1.5 million coins by 1.8 cents, or $0.018, results in approximately $28,000. To better understand this figure, think of it this way. If we have an investment capital of around $28,000 today and use it entirely to buy XCN, when the price reaches the target of 64 cents, our investment would be worth exactly $1 million. There are two important conditions that must be met for this target scenario to become reality. First, our $28,000 must actually be converted into XCN, and second, and perhaps more importantly, the price of XCN must truly reach the target of 64 cents. If both of these conditions are met, a major opportunity presents itself to the investor, because turning a savings of $28,000 into a $1 million net worth means the investment would have increased in value by about 35 times. Such a high return on investment is possible, especially in the world of cryptocurrencies, but of course it is never guaranteed. However, the key point here is this: if we evaluate the available data, the target price, and the current price correctly, we can analyze the probability of achieving this goal in a more realistic way. We can also look at this scenario not just as a dry calculation, but also as a psychological tool for motivation, because many investors struggle to dream big or invest without setting clear goals. However, here we have a plan laid out in numbers step by step. The number of coins that need to be purchased is clear, the current price of these coins is known, the amount of investment required is specific, and the potential gain at the end is clearly defined. The human mind often has difficulty grasping abstract ideas, but concrete examples are always more memorable. That's why these kinds of calculations contribute significantly to investment planning, not just mathematically, but also mentally. An investor who visualizes this plan in their mind can follow the necessary steps toward the goal more systematically. Another point we must not forget is that this calculation is based on today's prices. That means the price of XCN could change over time. If XCN becomes cheaper, the capital required to reach the goal would decrease. If the price rises, the investment amount would increase. Therefore, this is not a fixed table, but rather a dynamic framework that changes according to prices. In conclusion, we can say this: if an investor wants to invest their capital in XCN and their goal is to reach a $1 million net worth, then they would need to hold approximately 1.5 million XCN. And if they want to buy these coins at today's price, they would need to invest around $28,000. This investment could potentially yield a $1 million return if the future target price of 64 cents is reached. Of course, all of this is based on assumptions, and investment decisions always carry risk, but this scenario can be seen as a hopeful roadmap. Thus, we have calculated how many coins we need.
Yes, friends, I hope you liked the video. If you subscribe to my channel and like the video, more videos will be coming. Be careful in your investments, analyze the risks correctly, and always take strategic steps. I will be with you with different analyses, investment opportunities, and technical information in my videos. I wish you all a lot of profit. See you soon.